Hi, and welcome to the Rachel Holmes Lifestyle Show. How are you? Thanks so much for all of the feedback and the comments that I'm getting over social media. I'm so happy that these interviews you're finding inspiring and helpful. And today is no exception, as I'm going to be interviewing Lourie. We talk about all women's health issues here, pretty much the full spectrum. We talk about nutrition, PCOS, fertility, all kinds of health problems, because Carol really is an expert, and I know you're going to find this so inspiring. Remember, if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or share on your social media platforms.
Hi, Carol. How are you?
Oh, it's so nice to be here. I'm great. How are you over there? All the way over there.
All the way over there. I am very well on this momentous day. Very excited to be speaking to you. I always love to start my interviews with talking about the backstory to my guests and finding out, why they've specialized in a certain area and how they've arrived at this point in their career, in their life, with their experiences. So I'd love to start with that, Carol.
Sure. Well, I was living in a spiritual community in New York in the 70s, and my roommate came down with cancer. And at the end of her cancer treatment, we went to the oncologist, and he said to her, "I've done everything I can for you. There's nothing else that we can do, and basically have a nice life." So she found this chiropractor who was doing iridology and utilizing detoxifying diets. And I ended up working in his office. And when I was cleaning up his desk, I came across to the catalog of the National College of Naturopathic Medicine in Portland, Oregon. And I had been interested in medicine and healthcare. And when I first started working in his office, he had this young woman come to see him who had really bad acne. And I thought to myself, if you have bad skin, you take antibiotics. What's the issue? And that's how naive I was at that moment about the power of the body in natural health care. And a couple months later, she came back. She had lost weight. She was feeling great. Her skin was all cleared up. And I saw lots of people with similar stories like that. And I soon became a convert. And then this catalog appeared out of like nowhere. And I ended up applying there and going to the National College of Naturopathic Medicine. And I moved to California and obtained my acupuncture license. So I've been doing natural health care, and the name of my practice is Natural Health Care and Healing Center, for over 30 years. And I am still always drawn and amazed at the power of the body to heal itself. And it's just very empowering to see this and witness people obtain higher levels of health on all levels.
Oh, it's amazing. That's fantastic information. Funny how things just drop into your lap. The right things come at the right time. How
I know.
Carol, you specialize a lot in women's health. So who actually comes to you? Who are they, people that have just hit the end of the road with conventional medicine, who aren't getting the answers, aren't being cured, quote unquote? Who is actually coming? Who's finding you?
I have a full range of women, and I'd say my practice is mostly 90% women, and I see women from all age groups. I see moms bring their girls to me, their young daughters, when they have PCOS, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then they come to see me, the moms, when they're going through perimenopause, and then I see older women, sort of in my age bracket, who we want to stay healthy, keep our bones healthy, and stay alive and be active all throughout life. So I treat a range. I also treat infants with homeopathy. So I think that, the universe brings to you who you should be working with. And I take that component of my practice very seriously. I love to work with young women and educate them about female health and PCOS. A lot of people have been suffering with that. It's called polycystic ovarian syndrome. And it's a syndrome because it doesn't have just one issue. We have the sugar irregulation, we have hormonal management, and we have inflammatory process. So we have to manage all those three different components in order to achieve deep root healing and then the relief of the top symptoms. And often the women come to me because they've been on metformin and the birth control pill. That is the standard allopathic approach, but they're still symptomatic and they still feel horrible. So I'm not one of these black and white people where like all drugs are bad and you should only do natural. I think sometimes it's appropriate to use an integrative approach. And But I think women need to, really go from the bottom up as opposed to the top down, which is, let's really make sure you're eating the right diet for who you are. Let's make sure you're getting enough exercise. Let's make sure you have the right types of fat in your diet. Let's make sure you're getting enough rest and sleep and stress reduction. And what are you doing for fun in your life? Those are all really important parts of the puzzle that we have to really, and our society doesn't ever talk about what do you do for fun and joy. I think that's a very important part of our lives.
Yeah, that's amazing. So if someone comes with traditional symptoms of PCOS, where do you start with? Do you start with nutrition? Do you start, where is the root cause?
Well, I don't know exactly where the root cause is, but I think we always have to start. There is like a 15% genetic component to PCOS. So if your mom had it, you might have it. And oftentimes the mom didn't have it and it's just been misdiagnosed. But I always start with the nutrition and the health of the gut, because the health of the gut influences how the liver is going to metabolize the estrogens, how the excess estrogens are going to be pulled out of your body. So sometimes I run a gut analysis through Genova Diagnostics. We can run hormonal analysis through the Dutch test. Oftentimes I'll just get a lot of physical information and then we can put all those pieces together to see where we need to start. Oftentimes I recommend young girls go gluten-free, which is hard to do that if you're a high school student, but I try to empower them about what choices they can make for themselves.
That's fantastic. And how long would this kind of treatment or process take? We live in a fast fix society. Everybody wants fast, quick. But I suppose by the time people do get to you, they've possibly been through the conventional medicine system and they're still not getting the results. So I'm sure that they are perhaps, open to different kind of interventions. But, how long would somebody be looking at with this kind of treatment?
I'd say you should begin to see changes within 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
It can take 3 months. I mean, you have to get rid of the excess estrogen and the excess hormones that are in your body, and that's not like an overnight a moment. But even if you're on the birth control pill and you're on metformin, it can take a couple months for everything to regulate out. So I think, one of the things that's very important is, you're right, in our society, whether you're in America or England, the world, it's like fast-paced, take a pill, and you should be better. And that's what the advertising companies have led us to believe. But I think it's a much more complex approach than that. And we all need to have a little bit of a deeper understanding of that and have some patience with what is it that takes our body to heal.
I love that. And kind of moving on from PCOS, something that is just huge at the moment in the UK is fertility and IVF treatments, and many women are wanting to get pregnant later in life now, in the 40s, and so they are tending to turn to IVF and such treatments. Where would somebody start? Where would you start with somebody who is slightly older and wants to get pregnant? And any tips, or how would you go about that?
I have a lot of quote unquote older women in my practice, like 38 to 42, who have, delayed pregnancy for various reasons, career, it took them a while to meet their partners, whatever. And what I would want to say is, of course, find your IVF doctor. But before you start with all the hormones and the egg retrieval, I think that doing 3 months of the type of natural health care that I do, and there are a lot of acupuncturists and naturopaths that are fertility specialists, we can help your body make healthier eggs. We can help you get more eggs from the retrieval. We can level out any side effects that happen with the IVF drugs. And you can optimize your nutrition and you can optimize your health so that the health of the body contributes to making the health of the eggs. So you can have just a much better outcome from IVF. Post-egg retrieval, there is something called hyperovarian stimulation syndrome. And what happens with that is you've stopped the hormones, but the body is not getting that message. And I had a woman come in, she gained 36 pounds. And she felt like she was 7 months pregnant, and it was just from the egg retrieval. And that is a wonderful, and allopathic medicine basically says, hi, have a nice day, we can't help you. But acupuncture and homeopathy really can help alleviate the symptoms. And I gave her some homeopathic remedies, and I gave her a couple acupuncture treatments. And within a week, she had lost 15 of those 36 pounds. And when you're walking around with that bloat, you are not a comfortable person. It was unfortunate for her.
God, that's massive. Wow, I imagine your services are in really high demand. What else? What other kind of health issues are you seeing on a very regular basis? Maybe something that's becoming more and more prominent on a, on a monthly, yearly basis.
I think stress is the number one culprit these days. Our society, and I think women, have just taken on too much on their plate, and there's too many oranges that we're juggling in the air, and as a result, we put ourselves last, and there isn't enough self-care. And I was just writing a blog before I came online with you about self-care for the holidays, and our society doesn't talk about self-care for women. Yeah. And there's no frame of reference for that. I mean, you take care of your family, you take care of the household, you go to work, and then you have to come home and still take care of the family. And we get put last. And I think it's very important to take even 5 or 10 minutes in the busy day to just sit and do some heart meditation and some calming. And one of the things I talk about with women when they come in and they are totally stressed is I give an example of a plate. And I say, I want to hear everything that you have on your plate. And sometimes there are 12 things on the plate. And I go, I'd have a nervous breakdown if I had 12 things on my plate. We have to take out like at least half of these, if not, 8 out of the 12. Yeah. So there's only like 3 to 4 things on your plate. And sometimes we have to, unfortunately, make a list, and what is not critical gets taken off. I mean, I remember when I was single, I would go into my married friends' homes, and there'd be these piles of dishes in the sink, and there'd be laundry, and I'd think to myself, what is the matter with these people? And, the house wasn't dirty. It was just like, I'm one of those people now. Unfortunately, my attitude about dishes is they're not going to disappear. They can stay there until, you don't have a nervous breakdown at 11 o'clock having to clean up the dishes. And you can load the dishwasher in the morning, and you wash the clothes, and then you can fold them the next day. Everything doesn't have to get done immediately, and it's nice also to get some help once in a while. If you can't find a weekly person, if you can't afford a weekly person to come in and clean your house, every 2 or 3 weeks can make a really big difference. It's a treat that you give to yourself. And the third thing I think is it's nice to have the kids have chores. I think women with low self-esteem feel like they need to do everything themselves more. And I think it really is very helpful for kids, even if they say I have too much homework, they can spend 10 minutes doing the dishes after dinner. I think it's important to get all the family to help in the responsibilities of running a nice household. So the mom or the woman isn't totally stressed out with having to do it all of herself.
I love that. God, great wise words of wisdom there, Carol. Thank you. Talk us a little bit about homeopathy and what kind of homeopathy actually means, and how you treat someone with homeopathy. And then maybe let's discuss a little bit with acupuncture as well, how the two are very different and how, they are part of an integrated approach.
Yes, they are very different. Homeopathy was discovered by a physician in Germany in the late 1800s. His name is Samuel Hahnemann. And he discovered that people had symptoms, and if he gave them these potentized substance, the philosophy of like treats like came into play. For example, 2 people could have a migraine headache, but one person's symptoms would be very different than the others, so they wouldn't get the same homeopathic remedy. Homeopathy has undergone a huge growth spurt in the last 5 years, and there's lots of different ways of doing homeopathy. I study with Lou Klein, who's based out of Vancouver, Canada, and Jan Scholten, who's in the Netherlands. And both of these gentlemen travel all over the world and treat people. And we have a dynamic orientation towards homeopathy in which it's not just the person's symptoms, but it's also how they fit into their life, what they're striving to achieve, what are the problems that they're having, how do they react to those problems. It's a very dynamic way of doing homeopathy. And Jan Scholten has, with Lou Klein, has set up the system where you use the periodic table of the minerals, but we're now applying it to plants. So it's a wonderful way of organizing a huge amount of information. There are thousands of plants that have been made into homeopathic remedies. And in the complex society that we're having these days, it's wonderful that homeopathy has stepped up to the plate to be able to handle people's inner trauma and their sadness. And I feel I've seen miraculous things happen to people with the right remedy. Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen. Like when you first meet them, sometimes it takes a couple different trial and error till you find the right remedy. And I think it's important for people to understand that it is not just a scientific system, but it's a spiritual practice. And sometimes it takes a little bit of patience to get to that place where you go, aha, this is it for me. And the acupuncture, as everyone knows, it's thousands of years old. It started in China, and it maps out the body with regions of, and it has a wonderful philosophy of the yin and the yang, the internal and the external, and it really strives for balance and harmony. And I think acupuncture and homeopathy are medicines of peace. And in our society, there is so much strife on so many levels. There's been so much upheaval, the Syrians and the refugees, and even this political situation that we had just now in the US. People are coming to me very stressed out from the election. So it's really wonderful to be able to offer this medicine or healthcare of peace.
I love that. This is amazing. Carol, if people want to find out more about what you do, your online programs, where can they find you?
Well, my website is naturalhealthcareandhealingcenter.com. And I am about to launch in probably the end of January, beginning of February. I'm having a Healthy Woman's Summit. Right. So, which I'm having like 30 experts or 30 to 40 experts. We're all going to talk about our areas of expertise. Everyone will be offering programs and giving away freebies when you sign up. In order to get on that list, I have a free healthy nutrition guide and a full soup recipe. I have a lot of recipes and blogs on my website. Just log onto my website and provide me with your email, and you'll get the healthy nutrition guide, and then you'll automatically be put on the summit list, so you'll get that information. And the wonderful thing about the summit is whether you're in the US or England, you know, the internet is the answer to many problems. Yeah. So we're far away, but we're also very close.
Very close. And we can hear your expertise, which is amazing. And on social media, Carol, where are you? Where can we find you? Say hello.
I have, of course, Facebook pages, Natural Healthcare and Healing Center. I have also my fertility line, Reproductive Fertility Nutritionals on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, and I have a social media team, and they manage all of that for me. It's too much.
Oh, and do you still treat patients one-on-one as well?
Oh, of course. People come into my practice. I mean, I work by Skype all over the US, and I have a few people in England and France, even though I speak French with a very horrible Philadelphia accent. Thank goodness they speak English. That's my liability. I was raised in Philadelphia, and I've never lost my accent. But I love my practice. People come to me from all over the Bay Area. And I think touching people and being in the room with them is so important. And you get a lot of deep information through that.
Thank you so much today for spending the time with us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it was really wonderful to be here, and God bless everybody.